Welcome to the Fantasy Source Fastball Podcast. My name is David Arnott, sitting here with George Winkler. And George, we have a pretty fascinating topic today for our fantasy listeners. This pitching in Major League Baseball this year has been historically good. I mean, we're talking about if you took guys doing things that haven't been seen since the 50s, not just having 2.5, perfect games already this season, on and on and on down the list. What is some of the stuff that you've seen this year that has been particularly interesting?
Well, not only are the starters having historic seasons, but the relievers are too. As Matt Latufsky points out today in his Inside Pitch column, Carlos Marmol is on pace for the highest K-to-9 ratio ever. And Jonathan Broxton, if he keeps up the pace with his FIP, it will be the best FIP since 1955. So let's give the relievers their due. They deserve it too.
Yeah, I've got Marmol on one of my fantasy teams, in fact, the Experts League, and it's a running game every day to say, hey, Carlos Marmol's thrown 29 innings. How many strikeouts do you think he has? And it's something like 58, something insane, crazy like that. Broxton has fielded independent pitching. For those of you who don't know that off the top of your head, it's one of those stats that tries to scale it to ERA, but it takes out a lot of the things that pitchers don't control. And he's absolutely tearing it up right now, even though, as I recall, and I may be wrong on this, he's actually lost a little bit of velocity on his fastball. All of this adds up to one major question to fantasy managers, I think, which is that traditionally we say hitters are more valuable than pitchers. So if you did offer a pitcher for a hitter, you need a much better pitcher in order to trade away your hitter. But do you think that calculus has changed?
Well, right now, if you are sitting on hitters and you're looking for pitching, you're in great shape, because with so many quality starts out there and the historic year we're having in pitching, you're going to be able to get a good deal. You're going to be able to look for that Tim Lincecum owner who might be a little bit worried after he gets hit in the shoulder with a line drive, or
he was grazed. It's okay.
Or, puts a few more runners on base. He might be more willing to give up that guy now, because he might be thinking, well, hey, there's all these guys coming off the waiver wire like Jonathan Neese. I can just go pick him up and plug him in and get my hitter in a trade. So.
Now, from what you've seen, does this also extend to the mid-level guys? My go-to guy when talking about the mid-level fantasy pitcher is Johnny Cueto, someone like that who gets strikeouts, but his ERA is going to be high, and he doesn't play in a great pitcher's park. Do you think that if you get a just random mid-level hitter, random mid-level pitcher, previously you would have said just stick with your hitter, take the hitter if you don't have the hitter, and you'll just find another pitcher some other time? Do you think, though, that maybe you should be taking that pitcher in this situation if someone offers you that trade?
No, I don't. I think that actually with all the great pitching out there, you can be very selective when you're in a trade giving up a hitter, because those guys are trying to unload that pitching, and they know that other guys are out there getting pitching off the waiver wire, so they're desperate to get rid of these guys.
So pitching's even less scarce now.
I think it is, and I think you don't have to settle for a guy like Cueto, who's historically a bad guy in the second half. You can ramp it up, maybe look for a Francisco Liriano, get him at a good price.
Yeah, I chuckle because Francisco Liriano, I think of the guy who has no elbow, but that's just me. So to sum up, we think your opinion basically is that pitching, while previously fairly scarce, relatively scarce, I mean, you could try to take your chances by scouring the waiver wire. You're in a great situation now if you're scouring the waiver wire, and that maybe, maybe you need to start thinking about hitting as the new scarce resource.
Absolutely, and good luck trying to unload some of these pitchers, because I've tried to do it, and people are getting kind of cocky because they know, well, I can pick up Matt Latos, and he's going to be an ace for the rest of the season. That's what they think right now, But as the weather warms up and stuff, traditionally that leads to more hitting. So we're gonna see maybe some of those guys come around and say, well, maybe it's the aces I really do need in pitching.
George Winkler, thanks for the insight as always. Sporting News Fantasy Source Fastball Podcast.
Thank you.